18 years old. And what I'm excited about today is to, I guess, share my story. Because normally I don't really share my story. Even on scholarship, most scholarships, I don't. I try not to, I don't like to focus on the negative sides of my life. I more like to keep it positive. But giving the chance to actually share my full story would be nice.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to hear about it. What's a talent that you have that you don't, that a lot of people don't know about you?
I think one of my greatest talents is my stubbornness.
Uh,
I have like I call it my will, but
okay.
I'm very stubborn. Throughout my life, I've had like really intense situation. I wouldn't call it like crazy intense.
Mm-hmm.
Like for example, during my high school years, I ran cross country and track,
Oh, wow.
but every single cross country season, I'd get injured, and I'd
Oh,
have to go like 3 months through like almost 2 months, so basically half the season without running. So I'd watch all my
dang.
teammates get better, but I still and I there's nothing I could do.
Yeah.
But at the very end of the season, I still go out and run, and I still place like varsity. I still make it to varsity,
Mm-hmm.
and then I place like top 10, top 20
Yeah.
somehow. So,
Wow, good for, was it the same injury over and over again, or?
yeah, it was the same injury. It was between both of these legs,
Dang.
and like thankfully, my last season, I didn't get injured,
Okay, good.
but I got lazy like halfway through
Yeah.
the season because I was so used to getting injured.
You were like, when is it gonna happen?
Yeah, but I still ended up like placing top
Good.
10.
That's amazing. Um, okay, so what qualities of yourself are you most proud of?
I think the quality that I'm most proud of again is my will,
Yeah.
because it helps me get through a lot of things. Even like when school gets tough or life gets tough, no matter what happens, I know that I'll be able to pick myself back up and keep going.
All right. You always have that like sense of determination to get up.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. What is an accomplishment, personal project, or extracurricular activity or project that you are proud of working on?
The project I'm most proud of is a YouTube downloader that I created
Oh,
myself because
okay.
back in the like, well, this is like end of COVID, but I really got hooked on Spotify.
Mm,
I had just paid for it my first time. I got my first 3 months free, so I was using it all the time. Before that, I'd use YouTube, right?
yeah.
So I wanted to. So some of the songs that were on YouTube were on Spotify. So I tried to download them because you can use like local files, and it goes between your phone and
Right.
Spotify. But the problem is I didn't like any of the online downloaders because I had a playlist, and if you try to download a playlist, it would make you download each of the songs individually, and there were so many viruses.
Right.
It was crazy. So what I did was I just took it into my own hands. I had just come off of my first computer science class, or my first high school computer science class where we learned Python. So I created my own YouTube downloader. At first, it was rough. I could only download one song at a time, so it wasn't any better.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been working on it throughout the years. I just finished it recently. Well,
That's
finished, and according to me, I finished it. But
right.
basically, it went from just a small YouTube downloader that could maybe download one or two songs at a time to this whole like system where I can take a playlist, one playlist on Spotify, one playlist on YouTube, combine them together, and then download all of them, turn them into MP3 files. I don't have it on me right now, but I have a little
Right.
MP3 player, and
That's
basically just I download all the songs. I'm able to put all the tags on them, so you know what album they come from, what artist they come from,
yeah.
the year they were created, and you can just basically I just take all those songs, I put them on my MP3 player.
That is so cool. So was that like your kind of like aha, like I want to study computer science, or did you already want to do that?
I wanted to do it before, but once I created the downloader, it was like, okay, I know what I want to do now.
Yeah.
I love music. I want to make MP3 players. I want to do
Nice.
anything music related.
So that's why you're studying computer science. I know we said that off camera, but that's why you want to do it?
Yeah.
Wow, that's so cool. Do you feel like that's something that like is what's the word? Like not focused on that you kind of want to put emphasis in?
Um, I mean, it's not focused on for a reason because
Yeah.
again, it's kind of illegal in some cases.
Right.
It's like against terms of services for YouTube in most places, but
Okay.
I think that with there's a lot of subscriptions nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
We're moving away from like owning your stuff towards like having to pay someone else to own something for a little bit, and then once that subscription runs out, you don't own it anymore.
Right.
So I would like to put more emphasis on MP3 players again because the MP3 players were cool back then.
Yeah.
They were
I
pretty
had
special.
I had one in my
Exactly.
day.
But yeah, I think we should be moving away from more subscription services like Spotify and stuff and back to
Yeah.
MP3s.
Right. That's a new take. That's something that I've really never heard because I feel like you are so young. People are just used to like Apple, Spotify, like the
Yeah.
things that are on our phones. So kind of having another piece of tech that we don't pull towards is cool. I really like that. So in terms of like creating your own kind of like device,
Mhm.
if I could say that. What tips would you give someone trying to do something similar or in that realm?
The tip I would give someone is, first, don't even be afraid, because I know we're starting it was really hard. It took me there's so on my downloader there's like this special thing that's just kind of for me, where
Mhm.
I have like a character on the screen that kind of moves around, so I don't get bored working on it.
Right.
But find something that makes you want to keep working on it, first of all. And second of all, don't be afraid to look up help. When I started my downloader, I had to get a lot of help because I didn't know what I was doing. I
Yeah.
had no idea how to download music. I didn't know what I was doing. So finding help was pretty important. Finding that special thing that makes you keep wanting to work on it. So
Mhm.
my character, for example, is like pretty good.
Right.
And I think that, again, it's just, how much do you really want it?
Yeah. Who did you like get help from? Like, if you don't mind me asking.
Most of my help came from the internet, so
Okay.
I had to find a bunch of sources and then cram them all together. And then
Nice.
over time, I went back to the code and I just changed up anything that
Yeah.
didn't make sense, or I could make it better as I got better at coding.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're really good at like research projects because of that?
Actually, yeah, I think I
Yeah.
am. We just had one actually. So we had to take a computer science class for the camp,
Mhm.
and I had a final on that we had to make a project,
Yeah.
and I was able to get the project like done in maybe like a day
Yeah.
because I had already known what to do before.
Right. That's so cool. That's really, really cool. Okay, so I feel like you are a very creative person. In terms of education, what do you think that means to you?
You mean like my creativity in terms of education, or just
In
education in general?
education in general, like when you think of the word, for you, what is that? You know?
I think education in general is the idea that you have to keep learning.
Mhm.
Like a lot of people say that you never stop learning,
Right.
but I think that education means that you have to stop looking in towards yourself for trying to find ways to learn on your own, and
Mhm.
instead turning towards other people, so teachers, professors, classes.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just only learn how to code by going through the like a documentation all the time. Sometimes you need to go find other sources or people or classes to actually learn
Mhm.
things.
Yeah, that's really cool. Hmm. Okay. So, what's a topic, subject, or skill that you think should be taught in schools that isn't?
uh Well, I think that computer science, of course, I mean, it's taught, but it's not like mandatory.
Right.
I think that it should be a little bit more like there maybe should be like one class on maybe programming, because Python's the easiest. So maybe
Yeah.
like how to use Python.
Like a GE.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I know like a lot of some of my classmates in their classes, like they were doing financial algebra and they started to learn coding because
Oh.
it's helpful.
Yeah.
You can save a lot of time just being able to code stuff. So I think that coding is pretty important.
Yeah. Do you feel like if someone who were to kind of get into it, knowing nothing, to get kind of intermediate, how
Mhm.
long would it take?
It depends on the person, because coding requires a lot of, you have to like abstract yourself from human thinking, because coding is
wow.
like you have to be very specific with what you do, because
Mhm.
sometimes you could think something will happen and then something entirely different will happen.
Yeah.
So it takes a lot of it forces you to think in a different way.
Mm.
So I think that it would take a while.
Yeah. Do you feel like that kind of pushes you away from having like how do I explain this? I feel like usually when you think about like people who do computer science are very disconnected from like having being able to have like conversations with like actual people. Do you feel like that is the case for you, or do you feel like you're very like outgoing and whatnot?
It depends. If I'm really in a coding like session,
Mm-hmm.
because I've had weeks where I just start coding like nonstop.
Wow.
It'll be hard for me to talk to people because I'm so
Yeah.
used to thinking on like a code level.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, I mean, you should still be able to talk to people.
Yeah, I agree. Um, okay, so you can be as detailed or as vague as you want with this one, and it's more of like a personal question. Tell me about someone who's left an impact on you and why.
um, Someone who left an impact on me is my stepdad, actually.
Oh wow.
So he just drove me here.
Oh.
Um, the reason he left an impact on me is because throughout my early life, my birth father wasn't really there that much. I'd seen him every now and then, but I didn't really have a stable relationship with him. Um, but having an actual father figure to be there it would help me a lot. Early throughout my school years, I was really bad. I had D's and F's, but as soon as he
Mm.
came in, my grades shot up. I went from D's to F's to B's, and then
Wow.
eventually I had all A's throughout my middle and high school. So I think of course, I have to thank my mother too, because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here.
Right.
But I think that the person that helped me like throughout my schooling and among other things would be my
Yeah.
stepfather.
That's so beautiful that you have such a strong relationship with him. I mean, honestly, like, yeah, thank you for your mom for bringing you into the world, but also for finding him and giving him to you in that way.
Yeah.
All right. So we can move on to like more like deeper questions.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a cause or social issue that you're passionate about, and why is it important to you?
I think something I'm very passionate about is this is a hard one.
Again, you can take your time. All this gets clipped.
I'm very passionate about saving. This has to go back to my whole spiel about subscriptions.
Oh yeah.
But I'm very passionate about money because
Okay.
throughout my early life, we didn't have that much money. My family, me, my brother, and my mom slept in the same bed for a few
wow.
years. So the reason I don't like subscriptions, of course, is because you have to pay money to use them. But it's because like how like it's basically like stealing almost, especially when you can get the stuff for free.
Exactly.
Like even books, college books,
Right.
those are expensive. You could get those for free on the internet, but they're so hard to get. So I'm very passionate about finding ways for people to save money, which is why I created the MP3 player, the little downloader in the first place, and why I use MP3 players, because you can spend what $100 once, download your music, you don't ever have to spend it again, or you spend $10 every month for a whole year. That's $120.
Yeah.
I already spent $100 on my MP3 player, and I don't got to pay anymore. But if I have to pay $120 every year for who knows how long, it's not worth it.
It's not worth it. You're so passionate about like wanting to help people save money. Is there other aspects in which you want to do that too?
I think the other way we could do that is, so the world is becoming ever more digital. So I think that if we increase more options for people to actually own the software that they use, like Adobe, and like movies and other things like that, that would be pretty cool. Yeah, I think that we should just get rid of subscriptions altogether.
Honestly, I agree. I feel like I also I lose track of subscriptions. Like the other day, my friend just bought a Kindle, and she was like, "Oh, do you like Kindle Unlimited?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I have that, and I never use it." So I think subscriptions are a scam, in my opinion. Okay. What advice would you give to someone who wants to make a positive impact on their community?
If you want to make a positive impact on your community, first you have to find what impact you want to make. Of course, that's the basic. And the second part would be, don't be lazy. I've had a lot of opportunities come to me that I missed out on because I was lazy. So even if it means you gotta beat yourself up and pick yourself up out of bed, you gotta do it. There's nothing else you can do except for do that.
I agree. I feel like we always think like when stuff comes up, we're like, it'll come again. It'll happen again. Like I'll always get another chance. But like what if you don't? So it's like it's always important to grab onto it while you can. I agree. What challenge have you had to work through, and how has it shaped you to who you are today?
I think a challenge that I had to work through was my early life again. My schooling was bad. My home it was just bad altogether. So I think that's the reason why I have such a strong will now, is because I was able to push through all of that. And even if my schooling was bad, I still, at the end of the day, when it mattered, I was able to pick myself up and actually do what I needed to do. And the same for my home life. When things got tough, I still was able to push through and then keep going.
Yeah.
So I think that's...
Yeah, it's a great, like, that's honestly, if I could pick one skill or trait to have, it would be like to have that like continuous will, because in this world it's like it's kind of hard sometimes. It really does beat you up and you stay down, but for you, in your case, you kind of grew up having to always pick yourself up and pick up the people around you, so that's a beautiful thing. Alrighty. Okay, this is kind of like a fun one. I feel like you did kind of take it, you took a stance on it in the beginning. What do you think is something that usually gets left out of a standard application for you?
Well, something that usually gets left out of a standard application for me is more so the negative stuff. I don't like to talk about it because it's kind of hard to.
Of course.
I like to focus on my positive aspects, but I think most applications, from what I've read about and heard about, they want you to focus on the negative stuff more so. So I think that something that I wish more applications would focus on is like the positive aspects of you.
Right. I think like a lot of applications, like I don't know why, but I feel like they just want to see that you've like struggled in a sense, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like, but why does that matter? Like why aren't you focusing on like the person that I am now and like how I've gotten here? Like why is it like you're looking for a sob story if anything? So I do agree with you on that. I think like a lot of applications do tend to want to focus on like why can we give you this as opposed to giving it to somebody else. And usually a lot of people just get like, have to say something sad or like whatever the case may be. So I do agree with you on that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Okay, so this is the last question. Usually when kids come in here, they're super nervous because they see all the lights and the camera and the equipment and whatnot. If you don't know the person that's gonna walk in next,
Yeah.
but if you were to give them a piece of advice, what would you tell them in terms of like, don't be nervous? Like,
I think the biggest challenge for me is when I was younger, I really was nervous to talk to adults. So I know we're like we're not really the same age. I'm an
No.
adult now, but I
Yeah.
still feel that
Mm-hmm.
at this point. I've just realized that I just treat most people I meet as my friends. Now, of course, not like my close friends, like,
Right.
but I treat them as, oh, I know this person now. So I'm more comfortable talking to them. I mean, the lights and stuff are kind of a
Yeah.
little scary, but at the end of the day, I'm not focusing on the lights. I'm focusing more so on our conversation and, making sure that I let myself answer truthfully.
Hey YouTube, if you enjoyed this person's story, don't forget to subscribe below to hear more from our inspiring youth. If you want to apply for our Storyteller Scholarship or get more involved in our organization, click the link below to apply. Thanks for watching!